April 1945. After nearly 6 years of war, the Red Army stands on the banks of the Oder River in eastern Germany. Berlin, the heart of Nazi power, and Hitler's bunker lie just 60 kilometers away. The war in Europe is almost over, but its final chapter will be among the bloodiest. Only months earlier, German armies had still fought deep inside Eastern Europe. Now they prepare for a last stand. Soviet forces reached the Oder in January, but stretched supply lines and the need to secure their flanks delayed the final blow.
Welcome to Find the Stories. Please subscribe to the channel, like, share, and comment to support the channel.
The offensive was originally planned for May, but Joseph Stalin fears that the Western Allies, advancing rapidly from the west, might capture Berlin first. Despite assurances from Allied Commander Dwight Eisenhower that American and British forces will not march on the city, Stalin does not trust him. He orders the attack to begin weeks early. The Soviet plan is massive and precise. 3 army groups known as fronts will converge on Berlin. Marshal Georgy Zhukov's 1st Belarusian Front will strike directly west, breaking through the German defenses on the Silo Heights. Marshal Ivan Konev's 1st Ukrainian Front will advance from the south, encircling the city. Marshal Konstantin Rokossovsky's 2nd Belarusian Front will protect the northern flank and follow days later. To take what Soviet propaganda calls the lair of the fascist beast, the Red Army assembles. Overwhelming force, 2.5 million soldiers, 6,000 tanks, 40,000 artillery pieces, and thousands of aircraft. These men are battle-hardened, but exhausted after years of relentless fighting. Facing them are the remnants of the German army, Army Group Vistula, under General Gotthard Heinrici, and elements of Army Group Center have roughly 1 million men poorly trained, badly equipped, or hastily formed Volkssturm units of old men and boys. A few elite Waffen-SS and Panzer divisions remain, but Germany no longer has the strength or mobility to stop a major breakthrough. On both sides, soldiers prepare for battle with very different motivations. Many German troops fight out of fear of Soviet revenge, fear of military police, fear of abandoning their comrades. Others cling to desperate hopes of miracle weapons or last-minute alliances. Red Army soldiers are driven by rage over the devastation of their homelands, by loyalty to Stalin, or by fear of the NKVD. For both armies, discipline leaves little room for choice. April 16, 1945. The Battle of Berlin begins. Before dawn, thousands of Soviet guns unleash a deafening artillery barrage along the Oder and Neisse rivers. The ground shakes as shells rain down on German positions. But at Silo Heights, the Germans have anticipated the attack. They pull back just beyond the barrage and return once it ends. Soviet searchlights switch on, intended to blind the defenders. Instead, they silhouette advancing infantry. The Red Army struggles uphill through mud and open ground. Tanks are confined to narrow roads and become easy targets. Within hours, the assault bogs down. Under immense political pressure to succeed, Zhukov commits his tank armies too early. Tanks drive through pinned-down infantry, causing chaos, traffic jams, and heavy losses. For 3 brutal days, Soviet forces batter their way up the Silo Heights. Finally, on April 19th, the German lines collapse. Zhukov's troops break through and surge west. To the south, Konev's forces cross the Neisse more easily and advance rapidly. Thousands of German soldiers surrender. Others flee in terror as resistance crumbles. Stalin now allows Konev to turn north toward Berlin, creating an unspoken rivalry between his marshals. Historians will later debate Zhukov's conduct at Silo, whether his decisions were reckless or simply inevitable against prepared defenses. The cost is enormous. At least 33,000 Soviet dead and 12,000 Germans. By April 20th, Hitler's birthday Soviet armies raced toward Berlin's outskirts. Forests, swamps, fuel shortages, and fierce German resistance slow them. but the Red Army keeps pushing. Panzerfaust teams ambush tanks from rubble and alleyways. On April 21st, Soviet artillery begins shelling central Berlin. German command collapses into chaos. Headquarters are overrun. Units lose contact. Hitler, isolated in his bunker, erupts in rage and despair, briefly admitting the war is lost before retreating into fantasies of non-existent counterattacks. Meanwhile, senior Nazis flee the city. Himmler secretly attempts to negotiate with the Western Allies, but is rejected. Civilians are trapped. Many do not know whether to flee or stay. Columns of retreating German troops warn them that escape means death. Fear spreads faster than any army. On April 24th, Soviet forces encircle large German formations southeast of Berlin, forming the Hald Pocket. Tens of thousands of soldiers and civilians are trapped. Desperate breakout attempts follow. Entire columns are destroyed under air attack and artillery fire. Only a fraction escape. On April 25th, the Red Army completes the encirclement of Berlin and meets American forces on the Elbe River. The city is now under siege. As the fighting continues, war crimes escalate on all sides. German forces execute their own soldiers for retreating, murder prisoners, and carry out final acts of terror. Concentration camp inmates are forced onto death marshes, where thousands die before liberation. The Red Army also commits widespread crimes. Looting is rampant. Civilians are killed. Mass rape becomes one of the darkest legacies of the Soviet advance, affecting tens of thousands of women. Though some offenders are punished, most crimes go unaddressed. Inside Berlin, defenses are improvised. Barricades block streets. Flak towers dominate the skyline. General Helmuth Weidling commands fewer than 100,000 defenders and only a handful of tanks. Nearly 3 million civilians remain in the city. Urban warfare begins in earnest. Soviet assault groups' infantry, engineers, flamethrowers, and guns fight block by block, station by station. Canals, bridges, and ruins become killing grounds. The city burns. As Soviet troops close in on the government district, their ultimate target looms, the Reichstag. Though largely symbolic, it represents the Nazi regime itself. After days of brutal combat, Red Army soldiers raise the red banner over its ruins on May 1st. In the bunker, reality finally arrives. Hitler marries Eva Braun, then commits suicide. Joseph Goebbels follows, killing his children before taking his own life. Thousands of others do the same. On May 2, 1945, General Weidling surrenders Berlin. The battle is over. The cost is staggering. At least 80,000 Soviet soldiers are dead. German military losses may exceed 100,000. Civilian deaths range from 20,000 over 100,000. With Berlin fallen and Hitler dead, Germany's surrender is inevitable. On May 8th and 9th, the Second World War in Europe ends. For the Soviet Union, it is final victory. For survivors of camps and forced labor, it is freedom. For Germans, it marks the beginning of occupation and division. The Battle of Berlin stands as one of the largest and most devastating battles in history. A brutal end to a brutal war.